Hello, everybody. Welcome to Intentional Grounding, a football podcast based out of Baltimore, Maryland, made by fans for fans. I am one of three football fans who are hosting this podcast. My name is Mike Woodard Jr. I am joined by Costa Viennas.
What is up, everyone?
And Tyler Spittle.
Hello.
All right, so gentlemen, so every time we tend to record a podcast, some big news seems to break right after that podcast. Luckily, we get some good news that we can talk about here, though. DeSean Jackson has signed with the Washington Redskins. So he leaves the Eagles and he joins the NFC East competitor rival. Costa, what do you think of the move?
I was surprised. But then again, I wasn't surprised either. DeSean Jackson, when he was first releasing, everyone releases that preliminary short list of all the teams where a guy will land. They're talking about the Jets. They're talking about the Raiders. They're talking about the Panthers.
The Chiefs.
The Chiefs.
Were one of them initially.
Nowhere on that. The Patriots were another team that was listed. But nowhere on that list was the Redskins. And the funny thing is the Redskins have had a rather quiet offseason. So, no one's expecting the Redskins to do anything. And then all of a sudden you find out he's flying to Washington. He's going to meet with them. He's talking. And, as much, backlash Daniel Snyder gets when he gets a guy in his office, rarely does that guy leave without signing a contract. He gets the guys he wants. So you have to give him his dues for that.
Especially because I was expecting a bidding war for Jackson. I thought the Redskins visit was just going to be the first of a few, at least.
Right. I mean, honestly, I'm surprised he didn't at least make a stop to the Jets. And, I would have figured, like, Michael Vick would have done everything in his power to try and court DeSean Jackson. Like, come on over to New York. Come over, play on the big stage and, and let's, wreak havoc, together. And
in the last podcast, I think we all kind of felt like it would be a good fit because, exactly. I had Michael Vick, you had Marty Morningwig as the offensive coordinator, but it didn't roll that way.
It didn't, and now he's with the Redskins, and when you look at it on paper, you're like, he couldn't have landed at a better spot. It's kind of ridiculous because now you pair him up with Pierre Garçon, you have Jordan Reed at tight end, and Alfred Morris at running back, and we'll be talking more about running backs later, but Alfred Morris, being one of the few running backs in the NFL that actually takes on the bulk of the running duties. They have Roy Halou Jr., but, he's seldom on the field as often as Morris is. And then if RG3 is healthy, that offense is really, really scary. I mean, they're going to be fast, they're going to be aggressive, and you won't know whether to play the run or the pass against them when you're on defense. So I think this causes a bit of a shift in power because now the Eagles don't seem as threatening anymore on offense. So,
Tyler, what do you think?
In general, I do agree that it looks good on paper. However, with a lot of things, you gotta wait till the preseason, the actual season starts. Because one of the big ifs is, if RG3 is going to remain healthy. Because otherwise that could, throw a huge wrench in their offensive plans. And then, I was definitely surprised that he didn't, go to New York. Because between Vic and
the offensive coordinator. Yeah, Marty Morningwig.
and also having Decker there and Curley as the wide receiver slot. I thought that would have been a great use for his skill set. I suppose maybe one of the reasons he went with Washington is maybe for that whole feeling for revenge, to get back on the Eagles for cutting him.
Sure. And look, geographically, it would make sense too because Philly's not too far from Washington.
It's not too far from New York either, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true.
But honestly, I actually thought initially he was going to land in either Oakland or New York initially because, he's a California guy, and I think Oakland seemed like it would be a good place that kind of fit his style of play. And plus, the Raiders lost Jacoby Ford. He signed with the Jets, I think, last week or something like that. So they lost like their speed guy on the offense. So I thought they would have at least done something to try and bring him over there for a visit. But again, Daniel Snyder, that his ability to sign guys when they show up.
I mean, for Jackson's credit, Washington does look more, playoff ready than Oakland does right now. Still, though, so you definitely have to imagine he'd pick a team that he feels like gives him a chance at a ring. And even with Jets, even though if he goes there, it might be a good fit, but possibly with some of the internal struggles they've been having in the past few months, and also because they're still battling the Patriots and the upstart Dolphins right now. So
That's true.
NFC East is infamous for just being a complete turnstile.
Yeah.
So Eagles, Redskins, and then maybe Giants, and maybe if the Cowboys don't blow it.
Fail for the fourth year in a row.
Yeah, seriously, because of that move, because DeSean Jackson joined the Redskins now, any team is capable of winning that division. There's it's crazy because after all the moves the Giants have made this offseason, they legitimately look like they could contend. And if the Cowboys ever decide they want to be better than 8-8, they could contend.
The thing, it's a good signing. Definitely, it's a good signing for the Redskins offense. The only problem I see, the Giants were really the only team in that division to actually try to improve their defense. And their defense wasn't all that bad. I mean, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either last year. Philly's defense was not that great. I mean, they got by because they had a good offense. The Redskins last year were just a mess.
Yeah, their defense was horrible.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And the Cowboys' defense, we talked about it a lot already. They lost DeMarcus Ware. They lost Hatcher. So, everybody's going to just have to outscore each other. Every NFC East matchup is going to have to be a track meet because nobody really took steps to improve their defense. That's the only thing that would concern me is that, yes, that's a great offensive move. It's fantastic. But DeSean Jackson is young. He still has quite a few years ahead of him. He's been productive pretty much every year under any quarterback. So I think he will be productive with RG3. But the question is though, how is anybody ever going to stop anybody? In the
just for reference, the total defense for last year, Giants came in 8th. Let's see. Yeah, but then Washington comes in at 18.
Okay, so just slightly below average.
Right.
Dallas is all the way down at 32.
Yep.
And I can't find. Oh, and Philadelphia is 29.
Right.
So no defense at all, with the exception of the Giants.
Right, and like I said, the Giants were the only ones who actually focused on improving their defense. DRC, Jameel McLean, a few others that I know we talked about in the past. We haven't seen any moves like that on the defensive side for the Eagles or for Redskins or for the Cowboys.
I think the case of the Redskins defense, I think they underperformed last season because in previous seasons Washington had a at least an average defense that the defense wouldn't necessarily cost them a football game.
Defense they could win games with.
Right, and I think they just kind of underperformed because when you look at their team, they've got some studs on that defense, like guys like Ryan Kerrigan and Brian Orakpo. D'Angelo Hall is a decent corner, so they've got guys on that team that are very good. But I just think maybe this year their defense kind of pulls itself back up and maybe they might rank somewhere in the top 15 defensively, and then their offense will be top 10. I mean, no doubt. Well, they had a top 10 offense last year, I think.
Who, the Redskins?
The Redskins, yeah. I mean, granted, they did a lot of playing from behind,
they had to throw the ball a lot.
Inflated numbers, but
total offense, Philadelphia was 2, Washington was 9.
Yeah. But now.
So then, what? How far up do you think Washington goes with DeSean Jackson added, and let's assume a healthy RG3?
If RG3 is healthy, if RG3 can play, let's say 13 games this year, if he can get at least 13 out of 16 games in, then I think because they were number 9, I think they break at least into like 6 or 7 range
But
offensively.
Are there 13 healthy games, or because he played games last year, but he wasn't 100%.
The early reports are that he's as healthy as he's ever been now, while he's been rehabbing. And for once he'll play in the preseason this year because he didn't get any preseason time. People devalue the preseason, but it's always a good warm up for guys. And obviously RG3 not getting that warm up time came in cold last season and was just off to a really bad start. So you'll see a better Robert Griffin. And like I said, defenses won't know what to do. Are you going to defend against the running game with Alfred Morris, or are you going to play deep against Pierre Garçon and DeSean Jackson?
And Jackson's a good complementary too because even though Garçon does have speed and he can get downfield, he's more of the intermediate, beat you across. Like he's a big receiver. You can toss it to him. And DeSean Jackson's just the one who's just going to go flying.
Right, and of course, then you also have Jordan Reed who stepped up last year, who just kind of came up, during the middle of last season as one of the better top young tight ends.
Now, with Philly giving up DeSean Jackson, does that hurt their offense?
It does.
You think so?
Because now they are gambling that Jeremy Maclin is going to stay healthy. Because Maclin and DeSean Jackson are of the same build. They're small, they're fast, they're hard to cover.
Well, and then who's their number 1? Riley Cooper?
Riley Cooper's number 1.
And he's more of a bigger type. He's not really going to beat you downfield.
He's not going to beat you downfield. He's always, he's that big, aggressive possession receiver. But now they need a wide receiver. They had a horrible defense last year, but you know what? Now they might be forced to have to go wide receiver within the first 2 rounds of the draft this year because they let their best wide receiver go after having his best season ever. Now I understand, like everyone's saying that Chip Kelly and DeSean Jackson didn't necessarily see eye to eye, but sometimes I think who knows? I'm sure Chip Kelly has probably made the effort to try and make things work between him and DeSean, and then maybe someone said something to the other, and they're like, okay, this isn't going to work, and then they release him. But I think they put themselves in a really bad position because, they added Darren Sproles, which we thought was fantastic, but when you have DeSean Jackson, though, it changes everything.
It would have made their offense even more difficult.
Exactly. So,
Tyler, what do you think? Are you along that same thought?
I pretty much agree. It's going to be interesting to see how they draft, or if maybe they get a camp casualty cut that they end up picking up could be good, or if they trade for something along the line. Just see what they have, because besides besides Riley and Maclin, what do they have next at wide receiver?
Well,
did they give up Jason Avant?
Jason Avant was cut.
Right, he was cut.
So he's not there anymore, and honestly, I don't know who they had after Jason Avant on the depth chart. I don't know. Brent Selleck's a very good tight end.
And they got Zach Ertz too.
And they have Zach, and they do have Zach Ertz, yeah. Like I said, and their running back tandem is one of the best in the NFL when you look at it, McCoy and Sproles. But
the point was made that this move shows that Chip Kelly has faith in his system.
Oh yeah.
That he should, he kind of proved it last year with Nick Foles, playing really well. But I think he can. It was a move that they made because I think he has so much faith in his own system that he can make Riley Cooper number 1. And that's a gamble. It's a huge gamble. But if it works out, then it looks all the better.
If Macklin's healthy, if Maclin, it's kind of like the same thing what we're saying with RG3. If Maclin can play 13 or 14 games and miss a minimal amount of time, then I think it pays off. Then the loss of DeSean Jackson doesn't hurt nearly as much. But like I said, that's just a huge gamble because Maclin hasn't been healthy the last 2 seasons. He hasn't played very much football lately, so you just got to hope that he's in football shape, that he can, just jump right back in where he. Because I remember when he was a rookie, he was fantastic. He was basically doing all the things that DeSean Jackson was doing. So, we'll have to see.
Does this put the Redskins in the driver's seat to win the division?
I don't.
As of right now, without having the draft taken into effect, what gut feeling?
I think gut feeling. I would right now right now my favorite for the NFC East would be the Giants.
Okay.
And then maybe the Redskins right behind them. I mean, the Eagles' offense will definitely put up a lot of points regardless, but they need to address their defense.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cowboys. I mean, who knows? I mean, the Cowboys could finish in first. They could finish in fourth. So who knows? But yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty much of the same idea. Like with how volatile that division is, I can't really make a good justification of who I want to pick in the lead spot right now. I'd have to wait for the draft and everything to go through first.
And that's fair. And I'll just say that the NFC East is looking very, very interesting to watch as this upcoming season approaches.
Isn't it always?
Yeah, but
it'll be the most competitive.
Right. But my point is with so much offense, let's assume that the defense is going to stay the way it is. There are going to be shootouts every single match. I'm going to be excited to watch an Eagles Redskins game. That's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So we got to wrap up our first segment. This is our third episode, and this is the first segment. We divide them up. In the next segment, we're going to be talking about the devaluation of running backs in the current NFL and how that relates to the release of Chris Johnson, which happened today. So thank you guys for listening to this first segment of Intentional Grounding. Please follow us on Twitter at @intent_, or no, I think it's at @intentground.
Come on, get on top of this.
Hey, you know what? And then also look for us on YouTube under the same name, Intent Grounding. Please watch and hope you stick in for segment 2. Bye.